Hello class, so this video is literally breaking down what proximal and distal means. If after this video you're still confused on this topic, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to create something else that's a little bit more easier for you to understand. So these two terms are essential in anatomy to describe locations on the body, especially when comparing parts of the limbs, the arms and legs. So proximal means closer to the point of attachment. Think proximity meaning close. Used to describe the body part that is closer to the torso or the main attachment points of a limb. So an example here is the shoulder is proximal to the hand because it is closer to where the arm connects to the body. The thigh is proximal to the foot because it is closer to where the leg connects to the hip. Now let's move on to distal. Distal means further from the point of attachment. Think distant, meaning further away. Used to describe a body part that is further from the torso or the main attachment point of a limb. So here's a good example. The fingers are distal to the elbow because they are further from where the arm connects to the body. The foot is distal to the knee because it is further from where the leg connects to the hip. So we're going to go over it again. A quick trick to remember. Proximal means proximity, which means it's closer. Distal equals distant, which means further. All right, so I'm going to show you a little bit of a graph here. And what I'm going to show you is the elbow is proximal to the fingers because it is closer to the shoulder. So I'm going to give you a visual. So the elbow is proximal to the fingers. Why is the elbow proximal to the fingers? So I'm going to let you guys think about that really quick. So the elbow is proximal to the fingers because it is closer to the shoulder, which is the point where the arm attaches to the body. Okay? Now, the shoulder is the main attachment point of the arm. The elbow is closer to the shoulder than the fingers. The fingers are further from the shoulder than the elbow. So since proximal means closer to the point of attachment, the elbow is proximal to the fingers, but distal to the shoulder. So now I'm going to just give you a few more examples, and then I'm just going to tell you what some of these things. I'm so sorry, there's a lot of noise in the background. I'm so sorry. All right, so the upper body arm examples, okay? So the wrist is distal to the elbow. The wrist is further from the shoulder point of attachment than the elbow. The elbow is proximal to the wrist. The elbow is closer to the shoulder than the wrist. The shoulder is proximal to the hand. The shoulder is closest to the body, making it the most proximal part of the arm. Now let's talk about the lower body. The knee is proximal to the foot. The ankle is distal to the knee. And the toes are distal to the shin. And the toes are the furthest from the hip, making them the most distal part of the leg. So if you break it up like that, and that's like the perfect way to break it up, just focus on the upper body and then do the lower body. And that will help you kind of understand it a little bit more, make it a little bit easier for you to digest. I know for me, it was very difficult for me to understand. And like I told you, a lot of my classmates still to this day are very, very confused on distal and proximal. So again, proximal is closer to the body center. that's the attachment point, and distal is further away from the body center. Okay? So to break it down, the shoulder is the most proximal, closest to the body's core. The elbow is proximal to the wrist because it's closer to the shoulder than the wrist. The wrist is distal to the elbow. So like, touch your body when I'm saying these things, right? Your wrist is distal to your elbow. Why is the wrist further from your elbow? Why? Because your elbow is proximal, right, to the wrist. But why is the elbow proximal to the wrist? The elbow is closest to the attachment point, which is the shoulder, and the shoulder is closest to the body. So that's why the elbow is proximal to the wrist. Again, sounds very confusing. For me, I was like, this is ridiculous. It's the words and the way that they're trying to explain it that's, a little bit confusing. And we can do more images. I have actual models here. If you guys want to look at the models and it'll be easier for you, then we can do that. And remember that the fingers are the furthest from the body's main attachment point. So let's look at the upper body, right? What's attached to your upper body? Then look at the lower body. What's attached to your lower body? What's attached? And then from there, I'll make it so much easier for you to understand what's proximal, what's distal from the attachment points.